Hello, welcome to my introductory video. My name's Chuck Jorgensen. I'm new to this YouTube crap stuff. Been modeling a bunch of years now. Been thinking about getting the YouTube channel started for a while now. See if I can share something of what I've learned along the way. And basically when I show you something, it'll be my way of doing it. It's not the right way, it's not the wrong way. Maybe your way, maybe not your way, but it's the way I do it. Channel is going to be known as Styrenebender's Garage. And I had a buddy that was doing a video the other night I watched. He was doing it live, and he was having some trouble spraying some Vallejo paints. So I thought I'd do this introductory video as how I work with the Vallejo paints. I guess we should start with different types of paint that Vallejo has. Give me a minute here, and we'll see what I can show you that I know of. All right, to start with, we have Vallejo Model Air. And this is made for your airbrush directly. You may still want to add a little bit of airbrush thinner into it. I try to use the same thinners that are made for acrylic paints. That, this is made by Vallejo, this is made by Vallejo. And then you got other brands like Createx. I use their thinners, reducers, and so on with their products as well. Sorry, I was looking over here at this Createx stuff here. Next, we got Model Color and Game Color. These are meant for brush painting. You can make them thin, you can make them go through the airbrush all right, but you will need not only the thinner that showed you a minute ago here, you'll also need airbrush flow improver. Now, usually when I'm mixing the Model Air colors, I start with a 50-50 ratio and a few of thinner and the paint. The flow improver, I pretty much use about 4 or 5 drops. You don't need a whole lot of that. That usually gets the paint to flow pretty good through the airbrush. Give me a minute here, I'll get a cup and we'll start mixing some of this up a little bit here. Alright, I'm back now. I like using these cups, get them at the dollar store, Dollar Tree. Used to be you could get them for $1, package of them, about 24, 25, something like that to a package. I understand that the prices have gone up now, so probably next time I go in there, I'll be hit with that. Anyhow, start with airbrush thinner. And now remember, this paint goes a long way, so you won't need a whole lot of it. There is 2.5 milliliters. It's going to be a lot more than what I really need here, but that's all right. Now, my friend from the other night was trying to use this Model Color paint, and he was having trouble getting it to flow through the airbrush. Anyhow, that's why I'm starting with this. This is flat red. I'll be alright, hang on a second, I got a plug here. Don't mind me. I'll get this all worked out here, but guess I haven't used this color in a while, so it was all clumped up on the bottom. All right, back at it now. Oh, well, hey, that worked out right about 5. Sometimes you fall in a pile of crap and you come out smelling like a rose. I guess I wasn't quite as ready for this as I thought I was. Now, let's try mixing this up in here. Now, the reason I like these cups is they don't have no ridges in the bottom of them, so you're not catching them and flopping paint all over the place. Anyhow, that's about our mix for the red here. And now for airbrush flow improver. All you need is 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll do 5 just for the hell of it. I normally try to mix my paints in a cup rather than in the airbrush, just because somebody told me that's the way you should do it. So that's just how I learned doing it. So occasionally you'll see me mix it in the cup if I'm doing a real small amount, real small paint project or whatever. Now, normally when I'm spraying, I got my mask on, but you ain't going to be able to understand me with the mask on, and probably barely understand me now. And I messed this all up. Yeah, give me a minute here. Okay, to start with, we're going to have to put a base coat on the model that we're working on. And I just so happen to be working on one right now, and I need a red carpet in it. That's why I chose the flat red. But before we can spray the flat red on, we need to put some primer on here. Now, automotive primer doesn't always react, or acrylic paints don't always go on automotive primer all that well. Sometimes there's little issues with it. So I'm going to show you what I like for the base coating models when I'm spraying with acrylics. One is from Vallejo, and it's the white primer from their Mecha line. Yeah. Another one I like to use is Styrene's. This is from Badger. They take in, this is their primer. That's silver color. Now, my favorites of all of them is Autoborn Sealers. These are made by Createx, and they do a good job at sealing and priming the model all in one shot. I will need a minute here to take and mix up a batch of the primer, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I got myself a batch of the Autoborn Sealer from Createx mixed up here, and I'm going to take and add just a couple of drops of red to this, but I will use red from Createx, so there's no problem with mixing the batches of paint. I've had some trouble with using products for one brand of paint on another brand of paint, and they didn't react very well with these acrylic colors. So just to be on the safe side, took a little bit of this red from, and this will give us a base color, and you won't have to take and put as many coats on of your finished paints. Now I do this with when I'm painting body colors using the Createx or Vallejo or whatever. Yeah, I'll probably get a little bit of ribbon for this, but ain't that a nice pretty pink color? Oops, I still got some white in there, so I'm still mixing. But anyhow, we got us a nice little pink mixture going here. It looks kind of like Pepto-Bismol, but this will be our base coat, primer, sealer, and all in one. By the way, my mixing spoon comes from Hobby Lobby. They're $2.99 per pair of them. It's nice because you just wipe it off and you're ready to go with another color. Now, I'm using a Wada HPC Plus. This is my just for doing acrylics. And I got myself enough of the primer in there. Now, if you're doing a custom color, you might want to consider getting a bottle to take and put it in, because you try to mix up a custom color and then you try to match it up. It sometimes don't work out too well. Now, your first coat of this, you just want enough to barely change the colors of the plastic. With acrylics, you want to build it up in coats. Anyhow, that's actually a little bit thicker than what I should be doing, but they'll give you an idea. I'll come back in a minute when I got it all painted here. Okay, I got a quick, like I said, light coat. Your first coat, you don't want to change the color much, but I wanted to show you something. Now, we'll see how well this shows up on here. But with acrylic paints, you get it, well, with any kind of paint, you get a certain amount of tip dry. With acrylic paint, it's more often than it is with like lacquers or enamels. But anyhow, you need to clean this tip off every so often to keep it from, plugging up or from splattering your paint all over. Also, when I'm painting, I'm going all the way across the model and then letting off the air as I get across it, and then pressing down the air before I begin again. Actually, what I should be doing, and I keep telling myself this, but I should just keep the pressure down because it's dual action, let the air flow all the time, and then pull the trigger when I want to paint. Sometimes it's easier said than done, but it's one of those things you got to practice. And this acrylic, it dries fairly quick, so you can, pretty much keep on going with your painting. You have to give it time to dry, but usually by the time you get done with one area, the other area that you'd already done had dried already. Boy, at the moment I feel like I'm doing a Barbie movie car. Alright, now here we go. We got us the second coat on here. And you see it's covered a lot more. Let that set and dry for a minute, and I'll put a third coat on it. And then we'll start with some color, the finished color. I'll be back. All right, obviously I should have picked this out or planned this out better. Took almost like a carnation pink. Ain't that lovely? Well, good thing is it ain't gonna be staying that way. I got our red in here for the final color of the carpet, and here we go. We'll be spraying this on. This is the model color. It's been mixed up with some flow improver as well as the thinner, and it's spraying on real nice right now. I did about 50-50 with the thinner, and then I added about 4 or 5 drops of the flow improver, and this is spraying real nice right now. I'm working with about 22 psi pressure. There again, as I said, keep an eye on your needle. Every so often you got to clean that needle off. You could either use your fingers like I am. I usually try to grip it with a little bit of my fingernail so that I can just pull the paint off, and usually the whole tip will clean off with one swipe. If you don't feel safe doing that, take a Q-tip. I'm using these ones here, but you can dip it in thinner and then twirl it around into the needle until it removes the tip dry there. Now we got one coat of the red on. Looks much better than the pink did. I do gotta say so. But anyhow, here we go. We'll take and throw a second coat on there. There we go again. I first started out, I was pulling and releasing the trigger. Got to practice just holding the air on. Like I said, I do full stroke. And once I move past the model is when I take and let up on the trigger. Then I hit it back again before I take and I come across the model object that I'm painting. Take a look. All right. Now there's 2 coats, model color, and then the red. So let me, next I'll show just what I do with the model air. I'll be back. Alright, I'm back here. Sorry about bouncing you around there. Anyhow, I got these seats that are going on this project here, and they need to be red, but I want to do a slightly different shade of red, hopefully. But anyhow, I'm going to start out here. I got my sealer loaded up in the airbrush. Now it's getting even harder to see what I'm doing. Because I didn't put any of the color in there, so I ain't got nothing pink showing now. And then we're going to paint this with the Vallejo Model Air paint. I figured you might want a break from looking at my ugly mug, so I put the camera down here to the work area a little bit. And time I'm done with the back side, the front side can get a second coat when it's dry. You see how the second coat goes on much heavier. Backside's dry now, so we'll put another coat on that. And let me put that one back, and I'll grab the other one. Now the game color, same thing with the model color. You got to use the flow improver with it in order to take and get it to flow through the airbrush all right. And once again, this is the Createx Autoborn Sealer that I'm using right now. Now, like I said earlier, that you can't mix paint, different brands of paint, or it's not a good idea to, because sometimes they don't react well with each other. But here, what I'm doing is I'm using the Createx sealer. By the time I get to putting the Vallejo paints on it, the sealer's all dried and all the thinner. It's when you mix them wet is when the problem is. And I'll admit, when I mix this batch of sealer up right here, I took and accidentally mixed it in with oops, I just caught myself with that. Anyhow, I mixed it up with the wrong thinner. I used some of the thinner for the Vallejo with it, and it didn't mix too well. I'll show you what I ended up with. Okay. And there again, got some tip dry, so you want to clean that needle off. Now, the tip dry you get is going to depend on several different things. One, air pressure that you're spraying with. Two, the type of paint you're using. I can paint for quite a while with lacquer colors without getting any tip dry. I think the lacquer thinner in there takes and just keeps, everything broken down in liquid form. But with acrylics, you just have to learn to just reach up there and clean that off every so often. Alright, these gotta set and dry for a little bit. I'm trying to mess this one up. And that's good for primer on that. Alright, that should be good for that. Now we'll let them dry for a little bit and I'll come back with some color. Alright, I'm back again. This time we're going to go with the Model Air. Now, I'm going to try this without adding any of the airbrush thinner to it. It should spray out just fine. Like I said before, this is made for spraying in the airbrush. As you can see, it is a little bit thick. I probably used a couple drops of thinner in it. Don't need to put any airbrush flow improver in this. I'll shut up until the air compressor quits rolling. And here we go again with the tip dry. Clean that off real quick. And back to spraying again. And hopefully this will show you a little bit of difference between the model colors, game colors, and the Model Air. And how to paint each one of them. And there we go. Now let's see how close this is to the model color. See, that gives it just enough difference where it ought to stand up pretty good. I see a little bit I missed here, so let me hit that real quick. There. That's close, but it's just enough different to stand out a little bit, hopefully. Get that back out of the way before I get it. Anyhow, I hope y'all enjoyed the video here. I don't know how many of y'all will actually see it, but anyhow, this is Chuck Jorgensen with Styrenebender's Garage. And if you would, please subscribe and like. We'll have more of these coming. Hopefully I'll get a little better at this as I get used to the camera and talking to it. I'm not really a big talker, but I guess I'm going to have to be if I'm going to do this. All right, y'all have a good night now. Take care.